Psyched Out Podcast. Today it's just Avery, Lucas, and myself. And today we will be talking about describing the world and what human race in 3 words and why, right?
Yep.
Get away, Avery.
Me? You want me to start?
Yeah, go
Is
ahead.
that what you said? Okay. So, the 3 words I would describe the human race would be: number 1, naive; number 2, naive but yet intelligent. Intelligent would be my second, and then the third one, lost. And I have my reasons. Or do you guys want to share your words and then have everyone share why each word, or do you just want me to go?
I mean, we can focus
Should
on just one
explain your
person.
3.
Yeah.
Okay. So, naive, why did I choose that? I feel like humans will always be naive, but we will always be growing smarter. That's why we're so intelligent also. But just humans as a species, we've developed so much. We've learned how to create such incredible architecture. We've discovered electricity. We've made big metal objects that fly in the sky called airplanes. I'm sure all of you know what those are. We just come up with these huge concoctions and massive ideas, and we've put them together and made incredible things out of them. And so we are intelligent in that aspect. But while we're doing that, also very naive about all the things around us and what we're causing to happen around us, in like global warming, for instance, or just what we're causing ourselves to feel as well, and the impacts of what we do. It's kind of like last episode's creation and destruction thing. We're so intelligent, we can create many things, but we're also naive to the things that are disappearing around us because of that intelligence and creativity factor. But this is my biggest one. I think we're lost. We want to find a place of or a system of belonging, and we do that by creating religion. Is one way of doing that. We bind people together, and we say, "Oh, if you do this for this big man in the sky, go to heaven, but if you don't do this, you go to hell." And by saying that to other people, you're getting them interested. You're getting them.
Sky say.
You're getting other people interested in what you're saying. You're building a community and you're building a group, and that gives you a sense of belonging and a sense of meaning to your life because other people follow the same traditions as you do, and that's just one aspect of it. And there's also I don't know if you know of a British philosopher named Alan Watts.
Yeah, I've heard of him. I watched a couple of his lectures, I think.
Oh God, incredible guy. Have you heard of his Human Game lecture?
Did it have something to do with finding meaning? I'm not too sure. I might not have.
Sort of, yes. It also involved how the human game is that we're forcing ourselves, we're trying to find something that's not there yet, and that everything will come to you involuntarily. All about the quote-unquote human game is that we always go to things and try to do things voluntarily by ourselves, out of our own effort and out of our own decisions, and we never wait to see what happens. Just take this for instance, the universe. It just happened. There wasn't any reason for it. It just happened. And how we breathe. This is from Alan Watts that I heard today. When we breathe, we do that involuntarily. We do it without thinking about it. But when you try to breathe voluntarily, mess it up, and it feels weird. Try breathing, you've thought about it. You're like, oh, let me try breathing. you don't ever remember doing it because you just do it automatically.
Right.
It feels weird. And also like just waking up in the morning. So your body wakes up whenever it feels like, involuntarily. You don't choose to do that. It just does it itself. Or your heart beating. You don't choose to make your heart beat. Your body just does it itself. Why? There doesn't have to be a reason why. It just does. Just like the universe came, did its thing. It just came into existence because it did. It just did. There's no other reason for it, but we humans like to make voluntary decisions. We humans believe making that voluntary action to find something that we may be able to find involuntarily. We don't have to cause more trouble for ourselves to go look for that. But we want to go look for it because we're lost.
That's an interesting
Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
And another example is the legal field. Like, and most legal systems today in the world are based on a belief in human rights. But what are human rights? Well, human rights, just like God and heaven, are just a story that we've invented. They are not an objective reality. They are not some biological effect about humans, like our hearts beating or us breathing. Like if you, it's just it's gonna get dark here. Take a human, cut him or her open, look inside. You will find the heart, the kidneys, neurons, hormones, brain, whatever, DNA. But you won't find any rights inside of a human.
Right. That's kind of like the George Carlin idea where we made him up in a sense.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And the only place you will find rights are in the stories we have invented over time and spread around the world over the last few centuries. It's just several centuries, because it's taken many centuries for us to actually develop those rights. But yeah, you can't cut open a human being or any other species for that matter and see rights. Something we've made up over the past several centuries out of stories and morals. But everyone has different morals as well. These stories may be very good and positive, but they're still just fictional. That fictional stories that we've invented. It's again, it's voluntary. We're just making things up that we think is right, and we're passing them down generations.
Yeah, and hoping that some kind of good result comes from it.
Yeah. And that's just another reason why we're lost. It's just more and more of a sense of belonging and that we're all in something together. And then my final reason would be from a political perspective, like states and nations. Those are not objective reality. You can't touch and hold a nation. But a tree is objective reality. A mountain is objective reality. You can smell, touch, and you can see it. But nations and states are also stories from history that we've heard and become attached to. And
right.
These lawyers of ours who are enforcing these rights and laws are like kind of like the powerful wizards of our sense of belonging in our system of humanity. They're kind of like trying to keep things together, and them themselves don't even know. Like, of course, they have their own morals. They have their own good and bad meanings of what's good and bad, but they have to follow this code that was passed down through centuries.
Yeah.
Why? It's got no meaning. Like in terms of you can't touch it, you can't feel it, you can't smell it, can't see it. It's there. It's there because we forced it. We voluntarily made it up. And like,
go ahead.
Sorry, go.
Okay. I was just gonna ask, like, do you think that when people are born and they have like some kind of intrinsic sense of what is right and wrong, you think that's part of human nature, or that's the result of how people are grown up, how they're raised, and what they're taught?
And how soon are you talking in life?
Like, I don't know, by like the time you're 10, when you realize that some kid that didn't do all the work on a project gets part of the reward, and you're like, wait a second, this doesn't add up. I did all of it, and this kid was just kind of sitting there, but he gets some of it, and then you get.
So,
but yeah, go ahead.
I think that we all grow up learning some things, of course, and learning our morals from some other people, like our parents, teachers, whatever, friends, family. But then there's other things we also grow up learning ourselves. We have to experience ourselves and like ask ourselves whether or not is that right or wrong. We all come up with different results, but I think mostly it's what we've been brought up with, because we can't come out of the womb and automatically think about what's right or wrong. We just don't have that ability, and unless you were like raised in an orphanage that didn't teach you right and wrong, and that would be a scenario where yourself came up with those morals of what you thought was right and wrong, not someone else.
Yeah. Okay, that's an interesting point of it.
And I have one last example for why we feel lost is money. My money is a huge thing. It's the most successful story by humans that's ever been told. It's the only story everybody believes. Everyone will agree with money. Money is the thing, the objective reality that we
costa mucho el dinero. Sí.
Yeah, money, man, dinero. It is an objective reality because we've made it into one. It was never actually a thing until we made it into something. I mean, but not everyone believes in God. Even like different rights, different human rights and nationalism, like states and nations. But everyone will believe in money. And people have hated other nations' politics, religion, and culture throughout the history of the world and humanity in general. But everyone believes in dollars.
The money's good. The money's clean.
Yeah, I mean, but is it? Is it clean though? I mean, clean in a sense like to touch, or clean as in there's been a lot of blood spilt to get that money or make that money. We humans are lost in a world we think we control because we want control and meaning, or else we feel lost. And because we live in a dual reality. By a dual reality, I mean there's an objective reality, and then there's a real reality. Objective reality, we can touch, we can feel things, but this reality that we humans make about that reality with money, with religion, with rights, you just can't touch it.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I see where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, all animals and all species other than us live in an objective reality.
Right. Yeah.
Rivers, rocks, trees, mountains, oceans.
Rocks and species.
I mean, we also do too, but we constructed on top. We have constructed our own reality on top of the reality made of objective stuff and real things. We've made this fictional reality of fictional elements and entities, nations, gods, money, and corporations. This fictional reality we've made has become so powerful that the most powerful forces in the world have become the fictional reality we've created. That's the only thing we want to see. We want to be right. We want to have our own world, basically. And we're blind to see the actual objective, true reality right in front of our faces. And
are you done?
Almost. I spent hours doing this one section.
No problem.
It took so much thought.
Yeah, you're good.
So I'm looking on I'm almost done my list here. Mother Nature, all the natural resources and things on our Earth, survival depends on this decision and wishes of our fictional entities in reality. And the ones that only exist in our own imagination. But now, is our imagination real? Did you get that that statement that Mother Nature and everything around now, its survival depends on our decision and wishes of our fictional reality? Because we've basically made this world, we've controlled it, so to speak, our own fictional reality of rights and religion and business and politics. That now the objective reality, Mother Nature, survival depends on our decisions and our own made up reality. Like fossil fuels, that creates many jobs, but it hurts our environment. So our environment now depends on us to stop using fossil fuels and anything that releases carbon dioxide into the air. So we've made that our reality.
Yeah.
It's not real. So that's my, I mean, it just hands down, like if you believe it, if I believe it, if everybody believes something, I think actually works. Just know getting around it works. Because everyone will believe it. Everyone, or the majority, so everyone will be like, yeah, okay, I guess if they believe it and so many of these other people believe it, I'll do it too. We've created this fictional reality over the several centuries that have left us actually, I think, to feel more lost than ever. If we really look at it, we're really looking how sad we are as a human, as Homo sapiens, and how far we've come, and also how young and how lost we are. Really, we're just all teenagers, really. Trying to figure out where we are, where we belong. So that's my 3 words.
Yeah, that's really good. It's really interesting. I like, especially your perspective on people being lost in a sense, and it has so many different meanings it could apply to. That's interesting.
Sí, es muy interesante.
Muy interesante. Ja.
I just need like we speak Spanish the whole time, or I should just like download some editing software to make everything he says like Spanish.
Do you want to go next, Lyden, or?
Yeah, I guess I'll go next.
Okay.
So
away.
I'm still kind of trying to figure out what my 3 words are. I'm pretty sure I have enough. So my first word is empire, because since the beginning of time, humans, or when we first evolved from apes were really, I mean, they were the smartest species, so obviously they were the most dominant. And when humans evolved from that, I mean, there were a lot bigger animals than us. And like, I can't remember what they're called, but I learned about this in history class. There's a bunch of prehistoric ones. Like, and even I know dinosaurs was before, but there were creatures like dinosaurs when humans were around. But humans just have, I mean, like, you know what they say, strength in numbers. Humans just conquered the world when they first were created, and they were so dominant. We're really the most lethal species on Earth, most dangerous species.
I agree. That's facts.
Yeah. I mean, and I say it's like an empire because, I mean, from the beginning of the time, we've been on top of everything. Like, take for example, we can literally go anywhere in the world and we can just take a bunch of, some type of animal, and we could just kill them if we want. Like, nothing can stop us. Like, we could just, like, just too powerful. Like, we're kind of OP in a sense. Like,
overpowered. Yeah, it's like
yeah. I mean, we're just like, no one can stop us. And yeah, we've kind of created a world empire, and yeah, we're just till the world ends, whether it's because of humans and if they make the world end, or an asteroid or something, natural disaster makes the world end, we're always going to be on top for the rest of the time until Earth is no more.
or aliens.
That's why we're in. Yeah, that is true.
And we long for
cool,
that
man.
sense of power because we're lost. And we want something to find meaning in our lives.
I don't know if that goes together with my word, but
I think it could though. Because
I guess it could.
why put all that effort into making us such a powerful species, such a powerful organism? Because we're working towards something. We want something. We want meaning. Because we're afraid. That's where religion, that's where rights, that's where politics, that's where money comes in, and that's where the drive to move forward and become powerful comes from.
Yeah, that is true. And then my second
I'm not
word.
saying you're wrong, because you're not, because you're very true. So go on.
I guess my second word would be foolish, and it's kind of like yours, Avery. Like how you said, one of your words is naive. But I mean, so I'm not necessarily hating on religion. Like I think it makes sense. Like religion makes sense, but I personally don't believe in any religion. But just take, for example, one day some guy just came up with a bunch of rules, and he made up in his head, a guy, or like, some big ruler died, and he said, like, he kind of tells a story of him becoming a god or something, and then people just start worshiping him and believing in that religion. Like, you got to think that's probably how religions came up. And
yeah, most definitely.
In any given time, someone could probably make a new religion. I don't know how many people would follow it, but like, it's kind of just, to me, I just think it's a make-believe thing. I just don't believe in religion. I understand it, and I think religion does have some things to do with the making of history, but I just don't think, say, there's like a big man in the sky or something, like you said, that we have to serve. Or I don't think there's like some, I guess,
animal spirits.
There's some ancient Buddhist monk that died, and we're trying to serve him either. Like, taking that from Buddhism. But yeah,
if any of you are like religious, and if you feel like we're offending your religion, or coming up with a absurd,
if you feel like we're offending your religion, too bad.
No.
I'm kidding. Screw you.
And if you feel like we're like what do you call it? Just saying something wrong and something that's totally not true, just let us know too. I mean, religion is a fascinating part of history, and I know this is literally how America was made too. The Puritans coming over to seek religious freedom, although they did the exact opposite when they came. But yeah, it's literally it's a foundation of almost everything that's ever happened. And it was that drive for most people 2,000 years ago, do what they wanted to do. And actually, there is there is a religion called Gaianism.
That sounds a little gay, but yeah.
It's there's a documentary on it that was made, I think, in like 2013, 2014, and it's all science based. It's basically
Okay.
that. This biologist and his wife, who was some other scientist, made this documentary about it, and it's basically saying that everything is part of a whole. Like everything on the world is pretty much God, just not anything spiritual, not anything like that. The world itself is like a energy source for all living things, and that the world creates much every living thing, that it feeds it its resources, it gives it life, and then when something dies, it becomes part of that earth again, repay all the time it's been gone. In a sense, it does make sense, though. I mean, at least to me, that does make sense. That yes, we've everything that's happened throughout history has come from this earth that we live on. We just can't argue with that. Like, that's facts.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess
we're
what
all
I was trying to
part of
say for
Earth. Yeah.
so what I was trying to say for my word foolish, like Avery said, I do believe everything happens for a reason, but a lot of the time, I think people, and it's not like it wasn't supposed. I mean, I guess my word kind of revolves around religion, but you could take anything. Like people are so quick to believe what one person says. Or, like take for example social media today, where they portray,
Oh my God.
Liberals portray Donald Trump as, they
Hitler.
call him a Nazi. Yeah. I mean, he's not like a saint or anything. He's not, he's not a really good president or anything, but he's a human, and just comparing him to Hitler is ridiculous. And
Hitler, we may all be like atheists or like, but we can all agree that man was. I mean, and you've said his name. I really feel comfortable with it because I know people who ancestors who were associated with his things that happened during World War II, and we can all agree that he literally was, religious or not, the spawn of the devil or the devil himself. You just can't. Yeah, it's just facts.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think anyone can disagree with, that he's a monster, and probably him or Joseph Stalin, probably the worst people in history. Yeah, and then I guess I'm trying to think which would be a better final third word, but I guess.
What did you have in mind?
Well, I was thinking either kind of destructful, or I was thinking maybe I shouldn't go that way because that's kind of like the empire. I kind of explained that when I said my first word was empire. So I guess, I'm trying to think. I guess humans, I guess a word would be kind of, not really a word, but this is like my third and final point. I'm just going to say, like, we're kind of just there. Like, we're not working towards some ultimate goal. Like you said, everyone's trying to, make money and succeed in life, but it's not for some ultimate goal to like, I guess like pass life. We're just really here. We don't benefit, anything, like species in general, like animals or anything. They're not benefiting. I guess you can make an argument that there are, but animals, plants, and humans, they live off the earth and they benefit each other, but in the end, there's not really like some ultimate goal that everything goes into, I guess. We're just kind of along the ride. Yeah. I guess that's that. Yeah. That's my third point.
I do agree with that. And when sorry, Lucas, taking up your time. But when he said that we make money to succeed, that is part of the fictional reality that we have made up.
Yeah, like
Because
people
that we
believe
don't
that
need to do that.
yeah,
We've made
people
that the
believe that
thing.
you have to make, society has I don't know, society. Society has kind of made us
Humanity
believe
in
that
general.
yeah, we have to make money to succeed, and by at the end of our life, if we're, if we're living in some like little shack in the middle of nowhere and we're poor, that we just failed at life. And that's not really true, because I believe not really winning, but like the goal of life is, my opinion, is just to achieve happiness throughout your life and enjoy it, because it is short. You don't get to live for long. It's only like 70, 80 years on average.
Yeah. And there's like Buddhist monks or just monks in general, they don't have money. They live, and yes, it is religious, but they live for the nature. They live for what they believe in and what they believe that makes them happy. And although
purity.
some of it, yeah, live for purity, exactly, and that they no greed, no lust. It's all peace and content with everything and everyone around. It's that I think that is a pure form of true objective reality that we can live in. Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, is that what they do? Just take out the Buddha thing, but like in general, like coming to terms with everything around you on Earth and living in peace with it and content. Yeah, that was something I wanted to just say. Now, I didn't anything else you want to say before Lucas does his thing?
No, I think I'm good. I guess we'll let Lucas finally take over the reins.
All right, man, take it away.
So I actually changed my second word. I didn't what made me think of a new idea for it, but so I guess my three words, it's questioning, endeavor, and empty. So I guess I'll just start from the bottom down. Questioning, I think that's just I know it's a bold claim, but I think it's just a fundamental part of the human experience is we question things around us. We question, why is this like this? Why does this fall and not go up? Why does this weigh this much, but why does this not weigh as much? Why does whatever you want it to be? I think that questioning like you said, questioning our objective reality around us, or almost in a sense, no real purpose other than to better understand the universe that we live in. It's not like understanding how fire works will help us achieve meaning in life, maybe for some, but it's still a fundamental part of what we are, that we search for answers in all aspects of any subject. And that's a very interesting part, because you don't really see that anywhere else in the animal kingdom, where animals will search for questions for the sake of having the knowledge of them. But we do it anyways, and also we do it with the knowledge that we'll die at some point, and that we can have these things, but it's almost like we like to know something. We like to know a little bit about something before we go, which is, I think, an interesting part of the human experience. The next word, endeavor, and I think that it relates to questioning in the sense that we question things and we say, okay, look at this giant gray thing in the sky. Can we put someone there? Let's try that. And so we have all these endeavors that we go on to achieve some sort of great goal for whatever reason. And sometimes the goal turns out to be terrible, and sometimes it's extremely beneficial. But I think that no matter what it is, humans, we like to learn about stuff so that we can use the knowledge that we gain from it to achieve some certain goal. And I think that is another just part of what relates us to animals. It does, because animals, of course, they're constantly trying to achieve a goal. Most of it's just survival or reproduction. But our goals are also more complex than that, but we also still share those same basic needs. The last one, probably the one that I don't know. This one's a little different, but it's empty. And I was reading this book by it's a samurai who's around like the 1640s. He wrote this book called The Book of Five Rings, and a lot of it focuses on martial arts and his style and his mindset and all of that. But one of the interesting concepts that I haven't fully gotten to yet in the book is called emptiness. And throughout the book, it's structured like, okay, first chapter is wind, earth, and then it's water, fire, and all these different things. They represent different ideas and different practices and beliefs. But emptiness, he describes not as like a physical space where you enter a room and there's nothing in the room, but he says that emptiness is the place from which all other activities come from. So I guess how I interpret that as of now is I see it as we are born into this world, and there is, we have nothing for ourselves. It's just the world is here and that's it. And so we look at it and we look at a lake, for example, and we look at a lake and say, well, this looks empty. There's nothing here that wasn't already here before. So we say, can we put a resort there? Can we do something with that? Can we build a dam or something? And I think that out of emptiness, or maybe some need to fulfill something within ourselves, or to fill some space with something to give it purpose, we use like the emptiness that's in nature to, I don't know, kind of justify the goals that we set for ourselves. I think those are probably my words for it.
I really like that. And when you talked about purpose there for a hot sec, I got a total light bulb, just fireworks shot in my brain here. And because it reminded me of a book I'm reading. It reminded me of a book I was reading called One Drum from Richard Wagamis. I'm not sure if I pronounced his last name right, but he's a Native American from Canada. And he died recently, actually, before he could finish writing this book. And it's about understanding his philosophy. I'm getting into philosophy now because right now I'm starting to search for something more. I am fearing that inevitable doom. I need to know how to come to terms with it and accept it, because I haven't yet. And that's a big thing. I've realized going into my adulthood that I have not accepted that yet. So now I'm reading on philosophy, trying to figure out because I do consider myself an atheist. I just don't find religion something that convincing enough to make me accept it. But philosophy does, because that's morals and that's just humanity itself. And if I could find something in there, then I could feel like I could find a way to accept inevitable doom. And in this book, he talks about we have always been one song, one drum, that we're not anymore, and that if we come together, we can be healed. It says here, when ceremonies are shared, he wrote, we truly become one song and one drum beating together in a common purpose, and then we are healed. So over time, so the beginning of the story was that the animals were here to begin with. And this does his philosophy does play into a little bit of religion, because that was his traditions and his culture. But this story, when the human came to Earth, or the world, the land, it was he did not know of peace and unity and how everything was one and shared everything, and animals knew that, and it was their mission to try to get this human to learn the ways of nature and the animals, how everything is one one drum, one song, I guess, and we're all the same in a sense. And this human had to go through this trials called the seven the seven fathers, the seven grandfathers, and in these seven grandfathers were different lessons about life on Earth, and it were humility. Humility is the foundation of everything. To know yourself as a sacred part of creation is to know humility. The second one was courage. Courage is the foundation of faith. To face a foe with integrity is to have courage. The third one was respect. Humility in action is respect. To honor all of creation is to have respect. Love is number 4. The energy that heals all things is love. To know love is to know peace. To extend love is to create peace. Number 5 was honesty. To carry honesty is to recognize equality. There is none lesser or greater. To treat all as your brother or your sister is to carry honesty. Number 6 was truth. To know all of these things is to know truth. And then the final one, number 7, was wisdom. Every earnest search arrives here. To cherish knowledge is to know wisdom. And it's really unfortunate that he couldn't finish this book to explain those 7 trials, those 7 grandfathers of the world. He only got through the first 3, actually, before he passed away. But I've learned from this book is that at some point back when we were more like our ape ancestors, our ape relatives, we did live in more of a harmonious state with nature and everything around, and that objective reality, that real reality. And there wasn't anything more and there wasn't anything less. It was us and them, and we needed each other to survive. Now, we've become so infatuated with media and our own fictional realities that we've lost that connection to our brothers and sisters, meeting those 7 grandfathers and nature and the animals. And we need to find our way back. We need to break free, because only then, when we break free, is when we become truly together and truly at peace with one another, and then finally find what life is about. But that's just one view on it, and your purpose. And when you said purpose, Lucas, I immediately thought of, oh my God, yeah, the book I'm reading.
Yeah.
I don't completely. It definitely makes sense. Just believe in. Sorry, I'm making noise. Move stuff around. I just don't believe in that whole creation thing and then the human just dropping. But I do believe that we have become so detached with the objective reality that the only way to become one and find meaning again is to come together again with nature. But that's just one view. There's many more to figure out, for me to figure out as well. That's just part of that urge to go on and that urge to find.
Yeah. I read it was written by Epictetus, a Greek Stoic philosopher. One of the volumes that he wrote, or not him that wrote it. He was a student that recorded all of his lectures. But even then, in ancient Greece, it was still what he was talking about in his lectures was this idea that people become attached to their material objects, and that they value these things over their own morals and virtues. And now it's funny how that statement still is consistent with today and to a much greater degree, because now everyone can see your material objects, whatever you own. Everyone has access to it, not just, I don't know, not just, it's everyone, the information that you can spread online. It's definitely made it easier for people to become attached to these kinds of things rather than the stuff that they should really value. And there's this, I don't know who, I forget how to pronounce his name. I think it's like Shoga Rinpoche or something like that. But I was listening to this podcast and this dude brought this guy up, and he's a Buddhist monk, and he had an interesting thing, and he said that something to the effect of tend to the part of the garden that you can touch. I think that's just another interesting way of looking at life.
Tend to the garden that you can touch.
Tend to the part of the garden you can touch.
Like that's awesome. Actually, that's really neat.
Crazy.
I mean, it's right there in front of you. Why go try looking for something else? Right. All you need is right there. At your fingertips.
Right. Who knows?
Do you guys? Oh, sorry, Lucas.
Oh, I was just gonna say I don't think I have anything left to say.
And I was gonna just ask you guys: do you think we've covered this pretty well this episode? Ladin, do you have anything else to add?
I think I'm good.
Yeah, I think you did a great job explaining your ideas. Yeah.
What was that?
I'm just watching TikTok. You guys want to hear something?
Is it podcast appropriate?
Yeah,
I would try. Yeah. I don't.
Our footage.
Oh, that would have been not good. All right, let me shut that off for a second, please. Thank you. I think I think that was a very wholesome conversation, and we covered a lot with that. And guys, let us know what you think about what are your 3 words to describe humanity in the comments below. And, Lucas, have you closed us before? Want to do it?
Yes, I did it the last time.
Okay.
All right. Well, I will take the reins.
Good.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Psyched Up Podcast. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy. Smash that like button and leave a comment letting us know, if you liked it or not and how we can improve in future videos. And thank you all for watching and have a good night.